Hello and welcome back to another video. After a pretty solid return from our game last weekend between Liverpool and Man City, a game which saw 0 cards, we backed the under, game which saw 6 offsides, we backed the over, and we were just one save for Edison off pretty much a full sweep, so got a really nice return. This week though, we look to navigate a tough FA Cup round. It's the last 16 now, and the game of interest for me is Man United against Fulham, which is on Sunday afternoon. Man United edged past Ipswich Town midweek, winning 3-2 with all 3 of their goals coming from set-piece scenarios. That was despite seeing Patrick Dorgu sent off in the first half for a straight red card challenge, which was, in my opinion, a bit of a shame because one of my first angles was to get him onside for drawing fouls. He's been a machine for drawing fouls all season at Lecce as well as Man United, so once he does return from suspension, those markets I want to keep an eye on. Fulham have, in my opinion, been a bit of a difficult team to navigate this season. I do find them quite inconsistent in terms of their results and performances, but they were able to pull off a victory at Molineux midweek, thanks to goals from Ryan Sessegnon and Rodrigo Muniz. So on screen now is currently the round of 16 draw in the FA Cup, and I do think it's worth noting that Liverpool and Arsenal have obviously already been eliminated, so the teams remaining aren't as maybe strong as one might expect them to be. I do think there's a very realistic chance we see a sort of outsider win the FA Cup for the first time in a long time. I don't necessarily see City as the overwhelming favourite. Obviously they are the best team still in the competition, but they just haven't quite been at their best this season, and I think other teams will be looking to capitalise on that. So there are 11 Premier League sides still remaining in the competition. 4 are certain to be eliminated before the quarterfinals, and therefore I think there's every reason for teams to go as strong as they possibly can. Now the reason I think that's quite an important thing to mention is because Marco Silva has been one of the many managers who has been quite keen to rotate in cup competitions so far this season. We've seen it in the Carabao Cup, we've seen it in earlier rounds of the FA Cup. However, this is how Fulham lined up against Wolves, and they were missing quite a few key players who have generally been in the starting 11 for most games this season. For example, Anthony Robinson, Raul Jimenez, Calvin Bassey, Alex Iwobi. And I would expect all of those 4 players to return back to the starting 11 against Man United. I think the fact that Marco Silva opted for rotation against Wolves midweek is maybe a suggestion that he plans to go as strong as he possibly can in this game at Old Trafford. On screen is Manchester United's injury list against Ipswich Town. It's a very extensive one, obviously not an ideal scenario for Ruben Amorim. I think just because of that, it's quite easy to predict how he's going to line up against Fulham. I do think we see an unchanged lineup from that against Ipswich, obviously with Patrick Dorgu replaced by probably Mazraoui as wing-back. In terms of FA Cup squad selections, they can usually be quite a difficult one to predict. However, just given the lack of options for Man United at the moment, I don't think it's the most difficult task this week. Now, let's get on to the fun part of the video, which is angles, and the first player to mention is Anthony Robinson. Now, he was notably left on the bench against Wolves, only to make an 80-minute cameo at the end. His replacement, Ryan Sessegnon, did get on the score sheet. However, I do expect the American to reclaim his starting spot on the left. First angle is for him to register a shot, and that might come as a bit of a surprise given that he's averaging just 0.6 shots per 90 in all competitions this season. However, whenever you filter that to away games only, that rises considerably to 0.98 shots per 90, with this bet landing in 8 out of 12 in total. Now, his first game of the season was against Manchester United away at Old Trafford in a 1-0 loss, and he didn't register a shot in that game. However, I think it's worth noting that Marco Silva has since adopted a sort of 3 centre-back formation, with Robertson playing more as a wing-back, and that has given him a bit more of an attacking responsibility. The fact that he's seen an uptick in shots in that new role is one of the reasons why I really like this bet, but it's also because Paddy Power are top priced, offering 2.0 for him to register at least 1 shot, and I think just that alone on the surface looks really, really nice. But they're also offering super sub for this game, and that's a really, really big plus again, because Robinson will likely be replaced by Ryan Sessegnon, if he is to be replaced, that is. Sessegnon obviously got on the score sheet against Wolves. He's a player who likes to get forward, likes to cut in and shoot, and he's a very, very capable replacement for shots. So just based on that, given that even 2+ shots has landed in 4 out of 12, I wouldn't really be put off laddering Anthony Robinson's shots on Sunday. Paddy Power obviously top price at 2.0, however Bet365 at 1.8 and Sky at 1.83 I do think present decent value. Again, if you have access to Paddy Power, I would definitely be taken on there, mostly because of the super sub rule and just the added insurance. Moving on to bet 2, and it's Andres Pereira on his return to Old Trafford. Notably with Andres Pereira, he's actually been booked in each of his last 4 head-to-head games against Manchester United, obviously his former employers. He is priced at 3.25 to receive a booking with Bet365, or alternatively 3.0 with Paddy Power, but again they offer the insurance of super sub in case he does get sub, which has been a common occurrence for him this season. So I'd probably actually be leaning towards the shorter price on offer from Paddy Power just for the added insurance. I do think it's worth noting that in 2 of those 4 games recently against Man United, Pereira has been booked without even committing a foul. He does seem to just play with a sort of heightened emotional state against his former club, and therefore I'd solely stick to cards angles as opposed to foul angles. I do think these FA Cup fixtures can be a bit difficult to navigate at times, especially as we approach the quarterfinals. The way teams line up can be a bit unpredictable, and therefore that is all the value that I wanted to cover in this video. Just to summarize, the first angle I covered is Robinson to register a shot, priced at 2.0 with Paddy Power. I'll also be having a small nibble on 2 shots, which is priced at 11-2, 6.5 with Paddy Power again. Second angle is for Pereira to be carded, which is priced at 3.25 with Bet365, who are top price. However, I'd actually suggest going with Paddy Power at 3.0 just for the added super sub insurance in case he does get substituted early. Best of luck for any bets that you decide to go with in this game. Thank you for your support on the video, and I will catch you all in the next one.